Hi everyone, welcome back. Today we're going to be trying a brand new foundation. I got the Urban Decay Face Bond foundation in PR, which I was so excited about, and I haven't tried it or opened it at all, so I figured we could test it out today and see what we think. I cannot wait. I'm so excited about this. If you're new here, my name is Blair. I do all kinds of beauty content here on YouTube every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. I hope you'll subscribe if you have not already. And let's just get into the foundation. I am so excited to test this out. I did get this really cute PR box from Urban Decay. So it's in the shape of the Face Bond foundation, which I thought was cute. All right, so let's get into the box. And actually, they did include some little hair clips down here. So I'm gonna take those out and clip my hair out of my face. They also included in here their sponge, which I'm not a big sponge person, as you may know, for foundation, but I do use a sponge sometimes to kind of go over my makeup after I'm finished. But they did send that. They sent the all-nighter setting spray, which I've used before. Great product. And they sent, obviously, the foundation. So this is the Face Bond Waterproof Foundation. This is supposed to be a lot of things. So they also sent this little pamphlet here, and it says it's a triple power foundation. It claims to be a 24-hour wearing foundation. It's waterproof. It is medium buildable coverage, and it's supposed to be a serum-y texture. And probably the most interesting thing about it is supposedly it is self-setting and it has setting powder in the formula, which I don't think I've ever seen a foundation claim to do that or have that before, but that's what it says. It comes in 40 shades, and it also gives some directions in terms of applying. It says if you want a full coverage, use your fingers. If you want medium coverage, use a brush. And if you want light coverage, use the sponge, which I thought was interesting. So that's about it on this foundation. So here is the box. Looks like you get 1 fluid ounce, which is standard, and it's also 3% niacinamide as well. I feel like niacinamide, they literally are putting in everything now. It's so funny. I feel like hyaluronic acid used to be like that, and now the new thing in makeup seems to be niacinamide. But this is what it looks like. It's a very small little, like, slender tube. Looks like this. So they sent me the shade number 10, and this is supposed to be light with neutral undertones. It says to shake well, so I'm gonna shake it up, and let's see. All right, so you just pull the cap off, and the other thing they do say about this is a patent pending, no mess, no waste dropper. So I guess you're supposed to maybe be able to drop this directly on your face, maybe, or I don't know, maybe they're just saying you won't have any waste like coming out of the dropper like you would with other foundations. I don't know. I'm gonna put a little bit of this on the back of my hand. So it looks like that. It's definitely not a super runny foundation. It's pretty thick in terms of the texture. It's not thick feeling, but it's not runny or watery. My skin is normal, so I don't really have oily or dry skin. In the summer months when it gets really hot, I can get a little bit oily in my T-zone, but overall I would say my skin is pretty normal, in case you've never seen my videos before. So I'm gonna put some more of this on the back of my hand, and I'm gonna use a brush. I'm a brush girl when it comes to foundation. I don't really like sponges for application, so I am gonna use a brush because that's what I typically do. So I just dotted it everywhere, and I'm using a clean brush. This one is from Smashbox, and we will start blending. Okay, so definitely blends in like immediately, I would say. It also says on the box that it feels weightless on your skin, and I kind of see where that's coming from now because it truly does feel like nothing. As you're blending it, that's how thin it feels. Even though it's not a watery or a runny, consistently on the skin, it feels like nothing. So there it is on half of my face. I do think that shade, I think it leans more warm than neutral. I mean, it's not really, really warm, but it's definitely warmer than a neutral undertone to me. But works okay because I have a little bit of self-tan on right now. But that is it there. I mean, it definitely feels like nothing on my skin. It definitely looks pretty matte right away on my face for sure. Like it really just looks like my skin, honestly, just with a little bit more coverage. I'm gonna take what's left on the back of my hand and go over it just to see if we can get a little bit more coverage because that was pretty light coverage, I would say. So there it is. On that side, since it's in a dropper, I don't really know how much product I used just now, but it wasn't very much on the back of my hand. So I definitely do think it is buildable because adding what was left on my hand did definitely add coverage here. I would say this is about a medium coverage right now. Yeah, I mean, it looks like true skin, but just slightly more even. Definitely, I would say matte though. I mean, my skin was pretty moisturized beforehand, so you know that helps. But I would say so far it's definitely very matte. So let's go ahead and do the other side. I'm just gonna, I think, draw some over here. I actually kind of like this little applicator, honestly, because you can just kind of draw it on if you want. Okay, like we did on the other side, I'm gonna apply a little bit more of this because it does claim to be buildable and it looks to me like it is buildable coverage. So I'm adding some more on this side, see if we can build up the coverage a bit. All right, so here it is on both sides, built up. So I would say, yeah, now I would say this is definitely medium coverage. Definitely not full at this point, although the pamphlet they sent said to use your hands if you want full coverage. I would say this is solid medium. I do agree that it's buildable because once I went in and added a little bit more, I could definitely see the coverage get a bit better. First thoughts, I definitely feel the setting powder claim. I mean, it truly is like, it definitely feels like it is truly setting and it feels like it sets down pretty quickly after blending it in. So I would say this is another product you kind of want to work quickly with because it does start to really set down. I'm assuming it comes from the setting powder in the formula. So far, I would say it appears to be doing everything that it claims to do. I could definitely say, I think right off the bat, if you have dry skin, I don't think you're gonna like this because it really does mattify. But the other thing I will say is I definitely feel like it's smoothing on my skin. Like it looks just incredibly smooth on my skin. Now, I don't have acne prone skin. I don't have a ton of texture on my skin. So I have pores like everybody does, like right here. And that's kind of where I notice them the most when I do, is like right here next to my nose. But honestly, I mean, it looks very good and very smooth in that area, but it does look pretty matte, which I'm not personally super used to that. I like a matte finish, but this is even more matte, I would say, than what I typically go for. I usually go for more of like a soft matte finish, and this is just matte, I would say. So you have to kind of want that, but I kind of get where they're coming from with the waterproof claim. I mean, it feels like it's not going anywhere on my face. So those are my thoughts as of now. I want to do the rest of my makeup and then I'll come back and we'll look and see what things are looking like. But as of now, I would say if you have oily skin, I would say this is probably going to be one you want to look into. Even before I wear this all day long, I think oily skin would probably love this foundation. So I'm going to go ahead and do the rest of my makeup and I'll be back. All right, finished my makeup and I wanted to show you what this looks like. I have to say I'm pleasantly surprised by how good this looks on my skin. I mean, I hope it will show on the camera, but it looks incredibly smooth on my skin. Like my skin just looks like my actual skin, just more perfected, and obviously with blush and bronzer and those things, but it looks really good. And something that I did want to note is I did not use any setting powder on my face. So this is it with all my other makeup, but no powder, setting powder at least. I did that because it says it has setting powder in it, number one, but also because I wanted to see how a bronzer and a blush powder form would apply over this with nothing. So I used powder bronzer and powder blush today and no patchiness, no issues applying at all. It went on very smoothly. I do agree with the setting powder claim just based on applying it. Now we'll see how it wears throughout the day. I don't know if I don't use any powder all day long. I didn't set my face with a setting spray or anything like that. So this is just the foundation and my other makeup. So I don't know how it will wear, but I have to say I love how it looks right now. And I don't have oily skin. My skin is normal, like I said earlier, so this is not typically what I would go for with foundations. I do like a matte finish, and I'm kind of coming around to matte finishes in the last few months, but I gotta say, right now, this looks really, really good and smooth. I was a little worried in the beginning because it is very matte, and that's not what I'm used to really on my skin. I like a little bit of a glow, but I also don't like anything too glowy. I typically go for more of a natural finish that falls right in the middle, but I gotta say, I like how this looks, and I still think if you have oily skin, this is probably gonna be one you should look into if you're in the market for a new foundation, but I'm gonna wear this all day long, and I'll come back. I'll show you a natural light too in a few hours so you can see it, but I mean, it looks fantastic. I'm not gonna lie. It really does. It looks really pretty, natural, smooth. Like, I'm shocked. I didn't think I was gonna love this just based on what I typically go for with foundations, but I am really, really excited about this right now. I'm excited to see how it wears, and those are my initial thoughts. So I will see you in a few hours and we'll see how everything is looking. Hello, it's been about 4 hours now since I applied this foundation. This is kind of the best light, or the best natural light in my house right now. So I'm just standing in front of this window right here, but I want to show you what this looks like. So I haven't touched my face with anything. And honestly, I mean, it still looks pretty good. I mean, I maybe could see like a little bit of settling like on the sides of my mouth right here, which is pretty standard after 4 or 5 hours for me. But I mean, very minimal, not much at all. I mean, overall, I think it looks pretty good, honestly. Pretty smooth. I'm not seeing any wear really anywhere. And like I said earlier, I didn't apply any powder when I applied, and I haven't applied any powder since. So this is no touch-ups, no nothing. And the shade is actually good for me right now. I kind of mentioned in the earlier clip, it definitely leans warm though. So if you are a neutral undertone and you're around my skin tone, I would say this is probably too dark for you unless you have self-tan on right now like I do. So right now it works, but it definitely does lean a little bit warm. So just keep that in mind. I might go for like a cooler undertone if you want something more neutral, because this is supposed to be neutral and it still looks pretty warm. But overall, I gotta say on my skin, it looks really nice. I'm pleasantly surprised so far. So I'm gonna go ahead and wear this for another few hours, and then I'll come back and kind of give you my final thoughts on it. But I mean, honestly, so far looks pretty good. It's very hot today. We're probably gonna go for a walk tonight, so I'll be interested to see how it looks after that, because it's at like 90 degrees today. It's hot, so we will see. But so far so good. Kind of surprised, honestly. All right, it's the end of the day and I'm definitely ready to take my makeup off for the day, but I wanted to close out this video and kind of give you my thoughts on this foundation. First of all, I have not touched my face with anything, nothing. I haven't even reapplied lip product, nothing, all day long. We didn't apply any powder. I didn't use a setting spray earlier, which I typically do that pretty much every single day. So this is no powder other than a powder blush and bronzer. And y'all, I mean, it looks pretty dang good after 8 hours. I mean, I'm definitely a little bit shiny, like on the sides of my nose. Typically, if I do get shiny throughout the day, that's where I'm gonna get it, but nothing bad at all. And I mean, it still looks good and smooth. It hasn't separated. I mean, really hasn't worn away much at all from what I can see. And I mean, I'm pretty dang impressed. We just went on a long walk. We were gone for like 45 minutes and it's hot, it's humid. And I mean, I'm very pleasantly surprised by this. Now, a few things I did want to say about this. Number one, the shade is not my favorite shade. That this doesn't have to do with the foundation, but in case you do use me as a shade reference, the shade number 10 is light neutral. I don't think it's super neutral. I think it definitely leans warm. And if I did not have any self-tan on, this would be too dark for me. So if you use me as a shade reference, don't go off shade 10. Unless you also have self-tan on and you think it would work for your self-tan shade. Because if I did not, if I was my regular skin tone, this would definitely be too dark. So just keep that in mind. Number two, if you have dry skin, I would stay away from this. I don't think you're gonna like it. If you have oily skin, I would absolutely give this a try. If you have combo skin, I would absolutely give this a try. The only skin type I would say is probably not gonna like this would be dry skin, and they do say that this is not said to be for someone with dry skin. I was looking on the Sephora app earlier and it says for oily, combination, and normal skin types. So they're not saying that this is for dry skin, but I would definitely agree it's probably not. I have normal skin and I really like it. I do think it was a little bit of a shock for me when I first applied it because I'm not used to something this matte on my skin. This is definitely a true matte. This is not a soft matte. This is a true matte foundation in my mind. So you have to be okay with that. But other than that, I mean, if you need something to last, stay all day, maybe you live in a hot, humid climate, maybe you have trouble with your makeup really wearing off throughout the day, this might be one to look into, because I would love to try this, or I will try this again with my normal setting spray, using a little bit of powder and all those things just to see. But I mean, if it lasts this well with nothing, I assume it would probably look even better if I did like my normal things that I do with my makeup. Another thing I did want to say is something just to keep in mind with the application on this is you have to apply it pretty quickly. That is one thing I noticed. Even when I swatched it on my hand earlier, I could tell it kind of starts to set down right away. So don't put it all over and wait a long time before you blend it, because you might have trouble blending. So that's another thing I wanted to point out. Another thing I don't think I said earlier, but I want to make sure that I mention is there is no scent on this either, which I really appreciate. I do not smell any fragrance at all, which is a huge plus. I know a lot of people don't like fragrance in their makeup, especially foundation, and I don't smell anything in this. Overall, gotta say, I'm pretty impressed, and this is not something I would typically go out and pick. I did get this in PR, but you know, you can always count on me. I will tell you if I like it, if I don't. I think this isn't going to be for everyone, but I do think there are a lot of people that would probably really like this, particularly oily combination skin. So if that is you, I would maybe look into this if you're in the market for a new foundation. Another thing that I do really appreciate about this is it is so lightweight feeling on the skin, but it actually gives coverage. That is not typical. Sometimes to get the coverage, you have to use a thicker foundation, which especially in the heat, humidity is not always the best. I personally don't like to feel like I have a really thick, heavy layer of a foundation on my skin, especially when it's hot. And this one is, I mean, it's as skin-like as anything I've seen on my skin. It is thin. It does not feel like I've got a thick layer of foundation applied on my skin, which is another huge plus. I will also continue to wear this and update you in a future video, but I did just want to let you know my thoughts on this. I am pleasantly surprised. I did not think I was gonna like this just because it's not typically my preference with foundations, but I gotta say I'm pretty impressed, and I can't wait to keep wearing it, keep testing it, using it with other products, using it with my current makeup routine that I usually do. So I will let you know any updated thoughts in the future, but it's a thumbs up from me if you have an oily combo skin type or a normal skin type. One other thing I did want to say is I do think even if you have oily skin, especially if you have normal skin like me, this is definitely one you're gonna want to hydrate really well beforehand because it has that quick dry down and the built-in setting powder. I can definitely see if you went in on a very dry skin, very dry face, you might not love the outcome. It might be harder to apply. I just think this is definitely going to apply better on a hydrated base to start out with. So I would definitely do that with this product. I think that's everything. I wanted to let you know my thoughts on this. I will keep testing it and update you in future videos, but I hope you enjoyed the video. Let me know if you've tried this foundation, if you're going to try it. I believe it's at Sephora right now. I don't think it's at Ulta yet, but I did see it said coming soon, so it's coming in the next few days, I'm sure. But thank you for watching. I will have the foundation linked below and everything else that I have on my face today. I do use affiliate links that support me and this channel. If you use them, thank you so much. If you're new, I hope you'll subscribe and follow me over on Instagram at simply.blair and TikTok simply.blair1, and I will see you next time. Remember, simply be you. Bye.